Over the weekend, I answered this question on Reddit. Is there a plugin or can I do anything to print a receipt or an invoice via an app with Bubble connecting to a printer on the same network? So basically, can you use the Bubble API connector to send an API request to a printer that's plugged into a device on your network or a network printer? The answer is yes, because the solution is PrintNode.com, and indeed I recommended this and so did someone else. So this is not going to be an in-depth tutorial on using PrintNode, but it's going to be an explanation of how the service works and also a couple of things based on their API documentation that are worth flagging up, which will get people stuck, or at least would have got me stuck if I was coming to this fresh. So in a nutshell, PrintNode allows you to make an API request to a PrintNode server and have that sent through to a local client that you've installed on a device in your office, like Windows or a Mac PC. It basically connects the two together so that something gets spat out of your printer. If we dive into their documentation, here's the first thing that stands out, which could cause frustration if you're fairly new with using the Bubble API connector. So they provide you with an API key, but this key does not, as 90% of cases, go into private key and header. They want you to use TTP Basic Auth, and that's explained to you in the documentation here. Submit your API key as the username, leaving the password field empty. So you'd write your API key in here and you'd leave that empty, not like this, which is how a lot of, I don't know why I wrote dad, is not how a lot of APIs function nowadays. So that's the first thing. Then if we just dive a little bit deeper into documentation, you can see you can get a list of printers and you can create print jobs. Yeah, fairly self-explanatory. You can go print jobs and you can create a print job. Now, here's a really crucial thing, understanding the different types of files or different like expressions of PDFs that you can send. So you can either send the URI of a document that you've hosted. So if someone uploads a PDF to your Bubble app, you just need to supply the location of that document on your Bubble app storage. Now, of course, if it's uploaded to your Bubble app and it's made private, then an external service will not be able to access it. So is it good enough that the PDF is hidden through obfuscation? So are you comfortable with it being hidden through obfuscation, meaning that someone has to guess the whole URL, versus if they visit the URL and they're not logged in with the right session cookie, can they access that PDF? Something to consider. One workaround, if you need to make sure that the PDFs in your Bubble app cannot be accessed externally just by knowing the link, is to send it as base64. There are a number of methods and plugins in Bubble, including some really good file uploaders that allow you to get the raw or the PDF or the base64 version of the PDF out. But in my experience, here is something that people get stuck on, is that if you are passing the base64 into a value in like a post request, if you paste in even like a 2-page all text PDF into here, it's loads and loads of text, loads of just appearing random numbers and letters. You'll find that the browser tab likely crashes here because this key value here just can't take that scale of input. So in order to initialize it, what you need to do is create yourself a dead simple PDF, maybe just a page of A4 or a letter with a single word on it, convert that into base64. You can find tools on Google to do that for you really quickly. Upload a PDF, get the base64, ensure that base64 value is not too long, paste it in here, and then you should be able to successfully initialize the call. Lastly, some tips for working with PDFs in Bubble. If you need to generate a PDF based on your Bubble data, there are a few ways to go about it. Some of the simplest plugins available are just not that good because all they'll do is create a screenshot of your PDF, which can lead to low resolution images, text not being particularly sharp, terrible things going on if like a repeating group is split over multiple pages. So there are some services that I'd recommend. One is the PDF Creator plugin by Cramford Tech. We've recommended this before. We've done a demo video. You can find that in our library. Cramford Tech also have produced what looks like a third-party templating service. So you create a template, you create merge fields, you send the data through, a little bit like using a template to send an email. It fills it in and it responds back with a PDF. We've also created content with AllShots. This is like if Canva had an API. So you can create a design, you can create fields that you can insert content into, and you can then get a PDF or an image back. And then we have also done content with Templated. very similar to AllShot, which is that you can create a template, you can send structured data through as JSON and get a PDF back. So if you are going to use any of those services, it is worth considering what you do at this point here. If they will temporarily host the PDF, even if it's just like for 10 minutes, if they host it on their servers and then they automatically delete it, then perhaps that's a good reason to go with this method here, which is to basically provide the URL to PrintNode, and then PrintNode fetches it, downloads it, send it to your local printer, it gets printed. Or you can get the PDF back, and you might be able to get the PDF back in Base64, but I think that will depend on the service that you use. So hopefully that is a helpful deep dive into how to use PDFs and how to print with Bubble. And if you're new to Bubble, or you're just getting started, or this has raised further questions, then becoming a Planet No Code member is the best way to get your Bubble questions answered. We've just done a complete refresh of our academy and our website. You can literally ask a question on our homepage and see if our academy, our tutorial content answers that question. And then if you become a member, you can take that question and you can get a really detailed AI response with recommended videos, step-by-step, custom trained, better than ChatGPT that tends to hallucinate general coding principles that aren't applicable to Bubble. You get an amazing response. And if you don't, you can always just reach out to me. Click the link down in the description to become a Planet No Code member.